It is the morning of day 3. We just woke up in Spencer's guest room right there. And I'm repacking the truck. And today we have a pretty short drive, but we're gonna go on this boating adventure in the gateway to the mountains.
Now I like to go nice and slow next to this sign, off to the right here. A lot of people like to take a picture of this sign.
You see the eagle?
Until the snow comes.
Okay, right now? Spam's calling Pam.
Now you know thousands and thousands of gnats fly out of the cave, come down and get stuck in your hair. Back to the year 1910. College professor by the name of Wagner had the audacity to get up on stage and make the assessment that the crust of the earth is not static, but rather it's moving. This whole big land masses are moving around. He was laughed at the stage. They called him a crackpot.
Yep.
And it wasn't until the 1960s when the scientific community finally said, yeah, Wagner was right. Anybody know the name of that? These great land masses moving around? Plate tectonics. Gold star right back here. Plate tectonics. What we have on the right here, we have the north is moving from the west to the east, and they're crashing together right here. And that's what they're getting bigger by 2 to 4 inches a year, which doesn't really sound like much. 2 to 4 inches is until you think Rocky Mountains. They're getting bigger. Now, just a little bit west of us, about 4 miles west of us, you have the Lewis and Clark Fault Zone. The Lewis and Clark Fault Zone has 56 fault lines. There's another fault line just to the left of us, right along top of the ridge up here. That's the Hilger fault line. With all of these fault lines in the area, might you expect some earthquakes? Well, you would be correct. You would be absolutely correct. Between the years 1910 and 1935, there were 60 earthquakes in the area, happening all the time. Push that rock around like that. And look off to the right. Here's another very cool geological formation. See those lines coming down the hillside? Remember that all this limestone was horizontal. It was flat. Of course, they're anything but horizontal now. And those lines represent something called epoch. Each one of those lines is a very distinctive period of time.
I feel like I'm back in class.
Some kind of change in the environment.
Yeah.
Either 100 years of big floods, or the volcanoes were spitting out ash, or something. Something was going on, and each one of those lines represented. And then, what were the forces involved to create that rock face? Pretty amazing. And no, we don't go back after this.
Just chin-chilling.
Of course, what you're looking for, the adults have the white head and the white tail. The immature, the young ones, are kind of a mottled brown color. Put the dirt back on the mercury. You gotta clean it up. He says that more than half of their budget goes into remediation. Cleaning up the mercury. And I would bet, in my humble opinion, Forest Service is never going to try to find that particular exact spot, because then what would they have? At the boat club there, we have drop-off pickup service if you want to go camping or hiking or everything. To give you an idea how big this archway is, I could drive this boat right up underneath the archway. Now I did, of course, there's always one of these joking.
I've heard of it hitting sand, but like when you say lightning rock, like
So like the rock literally like changes into like some kind of like lightning stone. And I don't know like what they call it or something. But
I think it starts with an S. Can't remember the name.
I never got to go climb it to like try to chip some off. But like I've seen like the streaks of it, and it's
Because
so
of that
cool.
big fire,
Yeah.
the U.S. government created a new agency. That's when the U.S. Forest Service got started. Because now they're found over in Refrigerated Gulch, just about 4 miles away. So they're in the area, they just least half man. I wouldn't mind being a zoomor.
Oh, you already saw some.
And there's a number of other symbols on the wall that they figure are just religious symbols that don't have any meanings. But hey, did it work?
They said
Still
egg
there,
yolk,
isn't it?
blood, urine, and
Now, how
bear
old do you
fat.
think those wall paintings are?
12,000.
Any ideas?
15,000.
They determined that they were between 12 and 1,400 years old. Definitely
Oh.
modern Indians,
Okay.
not Paleo Indians. They don't believe it. So they sent out the spotter plane a second time at noon, at lunchtime. And they flew over jumpers to come out here. Meanwhile, remember how we just passed by the Meriwether picnic area? Used to be Meriwether
Smoke jumpers.
No, I don't. What is it?
Well, there was a man by the name of Jim
like
Harrison
People that
that was a camp host there.
fight fires by jumping out of the plane and they drop them in because they can't get to like a fire truck out here, so they drop people in from a plane, they parachute
But
in.
his mother thought it was way too
I think they
dangerous of a
started
job.
in Missoula too.
Wow.
And she begged him not to be a firefighter anymore. And what does a good son say to his mother when she's begging him to do something?
So all the canyon kind of stops
Yes,
here,
mother.
I guess, and then it looks like the Missouri just kind of goes.
Make sure that, remember that. Mom tells you to do something. Yes,
all the
mother.
way to the Mississippi.
Anyway, he goes, okay, Mom, I
Outside
won't
of
be
the
a
dams.
firefighter. What about a camp host? She said, well, that sounds safe enough. Okay, you can be a camp host. Well, so this Jim Harrison, you can see Meriwether from here, just like less than a mile away. And he sees the fire. He sees the smoke along the top ridge. He can't help himself. What's he do? Jumps in his boat. He runs down here and starts firefighting. Comes down here. He's a firefighting force of 1. So he's up there fighting the fire by himself. Meanwhile, back in Missoula, they put together some smoke jumpers, and they wanted to have 2 aircraft for these guys.
It's kind of cool though, like literally like they just like fly out of the plane and then go fight that fire.
That's pretty
with your bare
intense.
hands.
They start flying in this direction. It's hot, windy, like 40 miles an hour wind, and almost no humidity. As they're flying out here, it's so rough that one of the firefighters gets violently airsick, throws up in his helmet, refuses to jump out of the plane. Probably the best thing he ever could have done in his life. After the other guys have jumped out, he flies back to Missoula with the aircraft. When they land, he gets off, dumps his stuff, bends over, kisses the ground, and says, I quit. That's the last day he was a firefighter. Meanwhile, you've got other guys that did jump out. They get splattered all over the left-hand side, the grassy side. Because it's so windy, they get blown all over the place. Now, a little bit about the dynamics of the fire group. The leader was a man by the name of Dodge, and he referred to the firefighters as the boys. And he and the boys were supposed to have spent a couple of weeks getting to know each other and training and, learning how to work together. But Dodge had been busy with something else and didn't know these firefighters. Then you're going to be looking past the rock. And you'll notice how the trees look like they're moving from the left to the right. See how that looks like they're moving? Well, keep looking right there where that rock prominence is. And wait for it, wait for it. Wait for it, almost there. Wait for it. And there you have it, gates opening up. How many thousands of people have been here and watched that before you? So what do we got to do now? Now close that gate back up. Don't want to leave those gates open.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, on the way out, make sure you look at it. There was like 100.
Okay.
It's a cliff, and the rest of it is just like. Yeah, you would not feel good if you fell off of this thing. Just enough.
really quiet. You've got a lot of trust in that foot of sediment. Okay, so we're finally set up. I sent Nana to the shower. But this is my bed in the back of the truck. And this is what's going on out here. We had to buy this fan from Walmart today because Nana was worried about it being hot. I'm worried about how she's gonna do when we don't have electric. But there's her little bed. I set out her medicine ice chest with some waters in it. My leftover from Panda Express today because again, Nana was not ready for camp food. So we ate in town today. And I guess I can hop out and like show you this. Keys, books, I'm gonna write a little bit, journal, decompress. There's my little bed. Yeah, so this is the setup.